6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, however it goes.
Cool. Let's do this.
We are talking and rolling.
All right. This is how we start.
Can't help it.
Getting the photos in. Mathieu Bitton. Did I say it right? Bitton. Bitton.
Yeah, Mathieu Bitton.
Mathieu Bitton. The fact that we've met and I talked to you and we follow each other and I had to look up to make sure.
I get it though, because
I don't want to say it wrong.
Kind of a weird name.
No,
I mean, not if
weird
you're
name.
French. It's not
Right.
weird. It's normal if you're French, but.
Listen, but I know that you're traveling. You literally just hop off a plane. So I appreciate you coming out here. I'm the poster child right now for Dave Chappelle. I know you're going to be there. This is my first time out here in Yellow Springs. You were saying, now what year are we in for?
Year 7 of Chappelle Summer Camp, yeah.
Year 7.
2020, COVID was the first.
Is it wild to think, knowing the progression of where it started to where it's at now, that you guys are here?
Yeah, I always thought it would just be, once COVID was over, it would be over. But then it's kind of a way to bring everyone back every year.
Have you had any standout moments so far? I mean, obviously, you've worked with the best of the best. You've photographed so many people. You've spent so much time with them, someone like Dave, obviously. But is there something that really stands out that kind of hits you in the heartstrings?
Here?
Yeah, that you've spent here?
Well, in 2020, on July 25th, I remember I borrowed Mo Amer, the comedian, who you'll see tonight. I borrowed his little Vespa scooter that Dave had given him as a gift and crashed and broke both my arms. And it was really the whole world was shut down. I was the only guy actually working in the world. There was no shows. And if you look at, I think, Live Nation in July 2020, it's the only shows in the world were here, which is pretty incredible. So yeah. Jon Stewart, when he came, he called it a new Jerusalem. It felt that way. It felt like we had this kind of cool hippie community, but breaking both my arms the day before David Letterman got here, and I had already committed to Netflix to shoot the photos for the Letterman's, my next guest episode with Dave, and just kind of the realization that here I was the one guy who gets to shoot, and I just broke both my arms, and why did I get on that scooter? It was just just crazy. And was in the hospital and basically felt like it was all over because, and the woman's you got to go home. There's no way you can shoot, blah, blah, blah. And then I had to break it to Dave. I mean, Dave already knew I had the accident, but nobody knew I had broken both my arms. And so I had to, had a difficult thing of we have Letterman arriving tomorrow. We have summer camp shows and I can't move my arms. One of them I could kind of move actually, and I was well, my right arm kind of moves a little bit, but my left arm I can't feel at all. And I called him, and I'm man, this is I'm so sorry, but I know I'm the guy, the only guy doing this, but I broke my arms, and I feel so stupid using that scooter, and why did I do that? I'll never forgive myself, and I'm going on and mea culpa, feeling horrible, and then he's man, and I'm thinking yeah, he's upset, I really fucked up. He's what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? How are you gonna jerk off? And I laughed so hard, that I literally move whatever was going on with my right shoulder was out of its socket. I laughed so hard that it went back in its socket. Yeah.
No.
And I was wait a minute, I can suddenly move my arm. It hurt like hell, but I was wait a minute, maybe I can actually shoot, And so everybody's laughing, the nurse is laughing, the doctor is laughing, they're wondering is that, is that dude on the phone? And then Dave was let's fly Miles out, my son, who was going to Bard College at the time, but I think they were also kind of locked down or whatever. So he came out and ended up for a couple weeks carrying I got a tripod, which I never shoot on a tripod, but I had to.
Right.
And he was just moving the camera around and would lift my hand up onto the camera, and I could move my fingers. So I would just shoot like that. And then my younger son, Julian, came for a few months after that when Miles had to go back to school. And it just kind of became, it was a way of like bringing me, I had both my kids with me during that weird time where we didn't know what was going to happen. And the amazing thing about Dave in that moment is, you know, after I got back to town, his wife picked me up. I mean, it's like real, like good family people. It's like having my own family here. And then his thing was, I said, you know, the doctor says, because she still said, you got to go home. Like, I felt like I could do something, but, and he was like, listen, man, you know, you're here. Just stay. You don't have to shoot, but your energy is needed here. You know, this is your home too. Like, don't feel like you have to go home because you can't work. Just hang out. Like, it's, you know, we're all together right now. This COVID, like, we don't know what's going to happen. And by him just doing that, it made me feel like I got to do this. I'm definitely, you know, I'm going to be shooting, and then I never missed a gig. Like, Letterman arrived, I shot the thing, I did all the shows. We called it the broken arm era because, you know, we noticed like a little bit of difference in the photos, but they were like super cool, like different vibe. And you know, and then for a few months, I was just a guy with the broken arms, and there was like rainstorms, and there's footage somewhere. It's not in the documentary, from that documentary shoot, of me with like a plastic poncho and a double sling, you know, gosh, shooting. I mean, it was wild. So that for me is the magical, you know, when you're in it, you feel like it's the end of the world.
Right.
But looking back on it, like, I wouldn't change a thing, you know, and it was funny because there was, during that summer, because the show started in June with that 846 special.
Yeah.
Donnell, for some reason, I used to always see Donnell Rawlings, you know, Ashley Larry. I used to see him, and he'd be like sometimes kind of dozing off in space and whatever he was doing, and I would be like, every time I took a picture of him, I was like, Donnell, look sad, you know, and he was like, and he would always do this sad face or whatever, and then he kind of got annoyed with, like, every time I took a photo of him, it was like, look sad. And the funny thing is, when I crashed, it was during a barbecue that Donnell was having at this house that ended up being our COVID ward. When I ended up, my son Julian and I got COVID, we were like, you know, thrown away in that house and so I literally crashed outside this house. There was like a karaoke going on inside, food, all this stuff. And when I came in for someone to take me to the hospital, Donnell came up to me and was like, hey, Matthew, look sad. And I had blood all over. My knees were like, God, it was pretty funny. So, you know, the gift of humor, it's like being able to laugh in a moment that's so just, you know, hopeless and painful.
Yeah, that's a special gift to have.
Yeah. So I definitely, you know, felt grateful for being around that.
Yeah.
And such a supportive and fun environment.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's my favorite.
I love that.
You know, experience. I don't want to go through it again ever.
No.
But
Once is enough.
Yeah.
Once is enough.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. No, that's cool. I love that it incorporated your boys and you guys got to spend the time again.
Yeah.
It's like,
it was amazing. It was like being, you know, and even when my son Julian was like patient 2, there was like patient 0, who was the nurse, then Mo, you know, you see that in the film, and then Julian was the next one. So we ended up in a house like Mo Ammer, Julian, and myself, and, you know, playing backgammon and doing whatever. And it was, Julian got really sick. I got pretty sick. So we were worried because, you know, at that time we didn't know. We didn't know what it meant. We didn't know what it was going to be. And, but it's probably my best memories now because I got to be with my kids at a time when the world was locked down and working. You know, how lucky was I that I got to work around all the, I mean, you saw the film, everybody came here, you know.
Right,
so
everybody was
pretty
here.
Magical.
Yeah, you brought back a lot of memories of what was going on when we watched that last night. It was pretty insane. You forget about the nose swabbing and all the things that had to go on and stay,
oh my God, we did this twice a day. Morning and night, we had to do that.
I'm not going to ask you to share another story because I don't think you could top that one right now from this whole place out here in Yellow Springs, but it is a magical place. Excited to go to the show tonight. And I think just hearing that story and knowing the ebbs and flows of your life and kind of just having to pivot, but also finding the beauty in where things may fail or feel like, you know, the world's ending. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that's the vision you bring to your art consistently? Like just showing it? Is that why your photos and images? And by the way, I'm going to bring up the book.
Oh, yeah.
Paris Blues.
I feel like my mission is to document what is real. So I'm not really interested in documenting, somebody that, you know, might be a huge star, but, you know, doesn't have the face she was born with or the booty she was born with, or a guy that's so pulled that, you know, he looks like a scarecrow. Like, I like to document real artists, and I'm not saying those are not real artists, but for me, I like to kind of capture a somewhat surreal version of reality.
Yes.
You know, so that's why sometimes people like, it's weird, it has a painting quality or something like that when they see pictures, but just capturing what's there. But however I do it, I can't really explain. It's just me, you know, it's just doing it.
Yeah.
But I treat each moment kind of like a painting, except I don't have that talent. So this is my next, you know, second best.
This is your painting.
Yeah, second best.
There's a quote that you have in here too. It's page 40. And by the way, the index that you have in the back of this book, I'm talking to the people who are watching this, get the book, get Paris Blues, because it is so beautiful, not just the images, but the way it was laid out with Naomi Campbell in the beginning and, you know, talking about everything. It's, first of all, let me just pull that picture up too, because I'm being a fan right now. It's gorgeous.
You're almost there.
Here we go. Like, she's breathtaking.
And that's through a window, which is kind of cool. That's why you have that reflection in front. Yeah. You can see
the foreword she wrote, and I won't spoil it for anyone, but just beautiful. And it just shows the connection you have with people. But page 40, there's the quote from Charles. I can barely conceive.
Baudelaire?
Yes. I was waiting for you to help me out with the last name. I can barely conceive of a type of beauty in which there is no melancholy. And my partner who's over here too watching us, Colin, he mentioned that as well in here, that it feels like when you look at your images, you have this, and knowing the backstory of who you are and how you grew up and who you are today, it feels like you really bring that out in these photos. Maybe, like you said, not on purpose. Mm-hmm. You like the scars in life. You like
I'm a very, you know, I was like that weird kid who loved poetry and ballet and opera and all this stuff, you know. Melancholy is like a drug for me. You know, I love sad music. I love Nick Drake. I love the Smiths, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally once made a mixtape for a girlfriend in high school, and she broke up with me after listening to the mixtape. She was like,
what are you trying to say with
She was like, you trying to, like, you know, just give me like full on depression with this music? And I was like, you don't get it. This is like this is my love language, you know. And you know, the guy might sound like he's about to kill himself, but he says, I love you so much, I want to kill myself. You know, it's like,
it's just a really deep love.
You know, so, you know, yes. I was that nerd, but yeah, I love to see, you know, I mean, also growing up in Paris, I feel like you're so surrounded by, you know, so much history, so much art, and a lot of it does have sadness, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about some of my favorite artists, you know, you think of like Modigliani, and like, he dies very young, and then the next day his wife or fiance, who's 8 months pregnant, commits suicide because I can't have a life without you. You know, she's the muse, he's the artist. Mm-hmm. I've always had this kind of relationship with life as a muse, you know, where like, so my subject are muses. So they're not just like, oh, you know, here's Lenny with the six-pack in the gym. It's like, I want to grab, you know, what I like to do, especially with people like that, is actually show the real human side of it. And sometimes it is melancholic, you know, sometimes it's happy, and sometimes it's just, you know, everyone is living the same life as far as like we're breathing the same air, you know, eating the same foods, but we are going to process differently. And there's the other thing is that a lot of people see my life and they're always like, oh, it's like perfect, and you see everybody and you're around all these people, but it's like, I've never cared about the celebrity part of it. Like, celebrity is nothing to me. It's the talent that draws, you know, that attracts me. It's being able to be, you know, in a recording studio with a guy like Lenny, who will go from, you know, lay the drums first, then the bass, then the guitar, then the percussion, you know, and I'm like, that's one dude. You know, Prince was like that, you know, so Stevie Wonder was like that. A lot of people don't realize Stevie is such an amazing drummer, you know, so seeing that to me that's exciting. Yeah. You know, I don't care about seeing Lewis Hamilton and Kim Kardashian on a post, you know what I mean? Like, that does nothing for me.
To the F1,
I respect Lewis Hamilton and whatever, you know, but
as who he is.
But then I see them all getting lost in these weird, you know, Kardashian things. But, and again, I've met her plenty of times, very nice person, whatever, but it's what it represents for, you know, the culture. And I feel like since, you know, COVID and all that, just everything's there's almost been like a shift in the atmosphere, you know, where the world has kind of felt different. You look at politics in America, like everything's just kind of gone downhill. But I look for inspiration in art in order to make me feel like there's still hope in this world. You know, it's not just all going downhill. And so I try to contribute to that. So I'm going to pick things that might be interesting to someone. Like yesterday, I had this book signing and talk in Chicago at the you know, my show's there now. And honestly, even like I was walking on the street to go find some food, and this old lady stopped me. She's like, "Are you Mathieu Bitton?" She's like, "Your work is so inspiring." And like cute, you know, lady. She had a camera around her neck, and she starts telling me about the work. And I'm like, whatever I'm feeling, I might be going through my ups and downs. It's been a tough year this year, and like, that is something that just reminds me I'm on the right path, you know. I'm not sure where the path is leading, but I feel like as long as I follow my heart and I keep doing things that inspire me and working with people who inspire me, I'll get there wherever I'm supposed to be, you know. And so those are little things that reassure me, you know, and seeing people show up at a gallery or book signing or asking questions or telling me that something I might have said or a photo, you know, whenever you get someone saying like, "This photo really did this for me," and I'm like, really? Because sometimes I look at the photo and I'm like,
what are you talking about?
Okay, cool, yeah, awesome. But they're like, "Oh, you know, I had to have this woman yesterday was going on about the print she bought and how she rearranged her whole living room to make that descent, you know." And I'm like, okay, I have so much gratitude for that, because also it's hard financially for most people these days, you know. It's gotten really rough, and I think also since COVID, that's all changed so much, you know. So I'm all about gratitude, you know, and I think, you know, I was also raised with that philosophy, especially from my grandparents were from Egypt and my parents are from Egypt, and there was, you know, the sense of like they lost everything overnight. They had to leave Egypt, and then they moved to France, and like just went from having everything to having nothing, you know, and the reminder that nothing is certain, you know. And so at least if I can be consistent with my work and work, you know, just toward the goal of just getting better at my craft, you know, the people will say, "Oh, you've shot this one, you've shot that one, you've designed this, you've won Grammys, you blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, none of that really matters, because what matters to me is like, okay, what am I shooting tomorrow? What am I designing tomorrow? What am I going to produce tomorrow? You know, it's not so much about the past or accomplishments, you know. That's all really nice, and I'm grateful for it. And I've worked, God knows, very hard, you know, for those accomplishments. And then I'll see like, you know, some Gen Z kids that are like showing up, cool kids. They'll be like, "How do I work with celebrities? I want to work with celebrities." I'm like, "Do something else. How do I photograph a celebrity?" I'm like, if that's where you're coming from,
if that's what
just please go do something else. Because if that's what the goal is, you're going to have a kind of a rough time, because you need to have something in your heart, you know, that makes you, I mean, I don't think the heart desires, you know, celebrity,
right?
You know, a lot of people think so, but you know, most of the ones I've known and work with are not like the happiest people. Some have figured out, you know, how to work on themselves, but it is rare, because you also see how the system is designed, you know, to just take somebody who might be unknown overnight. Like I'm looking at my feed today, I was just thinking like this Indy Navarrete girl or whatever from Obsession. She's really good in that movie. I saw
love that movie.
Like great. I really enjoyed it. But it's like, why now my entire feed, everything is her, you know? So like they decide this is that's the person, that's the it girl, you know? This is all you're going to hear about, all you're going to see about. And then they might move on to someone else, and that person has to be like, okay, wait, hey guys, remember I was on your feed every day? I'm not saying that's what would happen with her, but I've seen that a lot. I feel like the system is kind of designed to propel people up to this massive stature, and then, oh wait, you know, it was Odessa Zion like just 3 weeks ago. That's all over my feed now. It's you know, again, talented people. Pamela Adlon, Odessa's mom, was a good friend of mine. I remember Odessa when she was little. Like, I love seeing it, you know, but you have to be so careful about the way this works, and especially with social media and people thinking, you know, they look at, you know, I don't want to name too many names, but like I'll look on my feed and like, great, you know, very famous artists. I just saw them last week. They don't look like they look on their feed. You know what I mean? And so that's dangerous to me.
Well,
like I wish there was, you know, people would be upset by this, but I hate AI and all of that. But people, get upset when I say I wish there was actually a label on Instagram that said this is retouched. Like, just because if you're a 13-year-old kid in Wisconsin and you're looking at this person, you're like, I want to be like them, but that's not what they look like. That's not who they are. That's what they're face tuning and doing whatever.
Yeah, every day.
So that, as a photographer, I did a post like 3 days ago because people have been taking my photos, black and white photos, and colorizing them with AI. And I'm like, I'm not walking into a museum with a paintbrush and being like, I'm going to draw a hat on the Mona Lisa. I'm not comparing my art to the Mona Lisa, but I'm like, I'm not it is what it is. Like, just accept it. I'm not going to like, hey, Andre 3000, I love this song, but I want to bang on the washing machine with a drumstick and add that to your thing. That's not what you created, And so there's another thing that's kind of driving me crazy is like, can we just let things be what they are? I don't want to animate my photo. I don't want to look like people took, like, there's a photo I shot of Lenny in Paris last year. And then all of a sudden I see like a video of it. And I'm like, this was a photo. It wasn't a video. And it looks kind of demonic because it's not the real person. It's just an AI taking a photo. And, you'll see like, here's Adolf Hitler painting. I'm like, I don't want to see Adolf Hitler at all.
He's basically saying, leave it alone.
Right. Just let art be, make great videos, and that can be the video. And then leave. If you want to make a reenactment of Adolf Hitler painting, then good for you. So be it. But like, no AI, please. I really don't like generative AI.
Yeah, I'll tell you my story afterwards about my AI situation that just happened. I was like, that is not me at all.
Hey, people keep telling me, well, if you don't catch up, if you don't get into the AI thing, you'll be done. Like 2 years from now, you won't be working anymore. But I don't believe that because the people I work with don't mess with that. Right. And you can't do Dave Chappelle in AI. You can't write a joke like he writes. AI can't do that. You can't do, like I was talking to my friend Ray, the singer she was on the what is it, Good Morning America or something this morning. You can't do that. You can't make that kind of talent with AI. You can, they have songs now, people are downloading and all that, but like, what's the point?
But the human experience is
somebody posted something the other day where the prompt was 1980s Minneapolis funk sounding song. And literally the software made a Prince song with Prince's voice. And I'm like, Prince used to talk about like holograms being evil and demonic. I'm like, this is an audio hologram. It's the same thing. Like, this should be illegal. Like, just come up with like real stuff, Why do we need a fake Prince? We had the real Prince, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it drives me a little crazy. And, a lot of my business friends are like, a lot of my business friends are like, man, you shouldn't be talking against it because, a lot of us are in it. I'm like, I'm just being honest. It's just not, not my thing. But I find it dangerous because, we had the fortune of growing up with like real stuff, real art, real music, real films, and now, you could put a prompt and make a movie. It's like, what's the fun in that?
Yeah, it takes
the whole fun of making a movie is making the movie.
Right.
So writing, storyboarding, filming, editing, scoring. Fast. Yeah, it's like,
and they don't really care about that part. Yeah. Well, knowing where you stand on all of this and knowing where your heart is and why you will continue to have longevity in this business or anything that you touch because you're coming from a place of truth and honesty, is little you proud? And does it make it more exciting when you think about him, or does he?
Yeah, definitely, when I think back of the dreamer that I was, the little kid in Paris but in a way I kind of knew somehow that I was going to be around the stuff. I don't know if I knew I would go to where I've gone, but I always felt like somewhat connected to certain artists, certain people. And so when I end up meeting them, befriending them, working with them, it just seems kind of normal. But proud, definitely. I'm trying to get to that. I'm trying to get to accepting my work and successes and everything in a way that feels like, this is my,
Does imposter syndrome?
Oh yeah, that's a big one for me. Yeah.
Still.
It's gotten better. Somebody asked me that yesterday, and I realized it's getting a little better. Like, I can actually like post something
now, right?
Yeah, I can post something and not feel like, oh my God, I'm so afraid of the comments and stuff. Like, I went through that phase, where I'm
You're
like,
just like us, because I don't post at all because I'm like, ooh, I see this little piece or this little thing bothers me. Does it? You really look? You can. What I'm holding in my hands and everything, people come to buy prints from you and who you work with. You still have that.
Yeah,
that's okay. That makes you human.
Yeah, I mean, I'd honestly rather that than being like, I'm the new Steve Jobs, I'm the new Walt Disney, I'm the new, not naming anyone who said that, you know what I mean? I just, like I said before, I'm just like all about gratitude. So I see you even like seeing your little notes in the book and stuff.
Yes,
it like warms my heart because I'm like, oh, the person actually like she looked at it and she
care. I left it with him last night and he just laid, or 2 nights ago, you laid right here. And I was like, I'm going to go to sleep because I'm going to work on my notes tomorrow. And literally page by page.
That's cool.
Like looking at it. And then I sat here yesterday, and then I didn't even want to open it till I landed and I brought it with me. I almost need another carry-on. It's kind of heavy.
It's a heavy book.
It's heavy, but it's beautiful. I can't wait to put it up in my house. But yeah, I made notes in here because, again, this one, for instance, it's the Rolls Royce photo.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, we were talking about this too. It takes you back in time, even though we know it's present day.
So my big thing is like photographic time travel, which I refer, like, I think that's part of what I do.
Yeah.
But what's funny is, so this photo is about the store behind the Bruce Field store. That's where I worked when I was like 11.
Okay, that's
so it was my dad's. My dad had one of those stores, Bruce Field stores. His best friend owned the company, and they would do, he would like basically sell the license to friends of stores. So I was just photographing the store, and that Rolls Royce pulled up right in front with that guy and got stuck in traffic, and I was like, that's kind of a magical moment. All I was doing was like, oh, I should take a picture of that store because that's where I worked, and maybe I should include that. And then I was like, oh, it's going to be kind of boring. And as I thought, this is boring, that guy pulled in. I was like, oh, okay. I was helped out by the moment.
You were. Another one that I loved, and I love the story that you put in the beginning of the book. You refer to page 68, the guy who punched you.
Yeah.
And you thanked him, and he's like,
so elegant.
And he looks like he don't play around.
No. Yeah, no, I think he was a Senegalese guy. Oh, I mean, look at him. He's so handsome, dapper, and
look at
I was at the Paris flea market, and I was like, I'll take 3 of those punches. It wasn't that hard. but it's the only time. One time somebody threw a drink at me, but they missed me. I was really happy about that. But that's the only one that I was like, okay. But because I took the punch, I'm like, I'm including the photo.
Now I love that you included these doggies in here because, again, now I'm obsessed with my dog, and I know a lot of dog parents.
I have a wiener dog too, so I photograph them everywhere I go.
But these dogs look human. You made them look human, and this dog looks like he's been through a lot, or she's been through a lot.
Yeah.
And he's like,
this guy, I just saw him last week again.
He was dog.
I mean, no, it's at the flea market, so he's like one of the flea market salespeople. He's one of the stores. He's the dog for the store, and he goes from like one store to the other to get treats. And so he was a puppy then. I think he was like 6 or 7 months, but so cute and handsome. And that's like, at some point I want to do a book of just dogs, because
please do that.
I'm constantly photographing dogs. I love dogs.
Okay, so I have more, and they're humans now. We're going to move on back to the humans, but your ambassadorship, what is it like now with Leica? Are you, because I mean, obviously, and again, I'm not a photographer, I'm not in that space. I'm referring to my partner here, Colin, because he was telling me that the other name, the other two, the brands, the two top, Leica and Hasselblad. Yes. Yeah. I got to get my German accent going.
Yeah. Something about those Germans.
Yeah.
Although Chinese bought Hasselblad, so it's a Chinese company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Knowing that worldwide, those are the two top, and you are so heavily involved with Leica, whatever you can explain your deal with them.
Always trapped. I actually had 2 earlier, and I was like, it's warm. I'm leaving one at the.
That's got to also, I mean, again, I know you talked about having imposter syndrome, but that's got to say something about who you are, your eye, and what you make people feel. Again, even watching a couple of your interviews on YouTube, it's like seeing the comments, and they just put your name on the lower third. It wasn't about you, it was about how you shoot. And the comments may not even know who you were, right? Some of the people, but they're like, this is a real artist. He's
cool.
really giving us something. Like, you should go look at some of those.
Look at the comments.
You should look at, no, you should, because it's cool.
It'll make me feel good.
Yes, that's what I do too, because the people know. Who cares about the, you know, everything else? But the people know, and that's got to feel good. But what is the situation with Leica? What is so special about having that with you all the time, and what you do with that?
You know, first of all, the design of these cameras, like, it's been the same design since 1954 when the first the M3 came out. This is a M11 monochrome, which is digital, but I've been collecting lenses. Like, it's like a disease at this point, buying vintage lenses. Like, this lens is from like 1949 or 50. This is another German lens. It's not Leica, but it's made for the Leica. Schneider Kausnack Xenon. So this is a very rare lens.
Wow, that's
and
beautiful.
I just, like a week ago, drove from Malibu to Rancho Mirage, like near Palm Springs, and to pick up a lens. I've been buying slowly a collection from one of my favorite photographers, Jean-Pierre Lafont, who's a New York-based French photographer. He came out in 65, I think. He's like 92 or 93 now. He stopped shooting.
Wow.
So he sold all his Leica stuff to a friend of mine who has stores, and I've been little by little just buying. I have like 6 of his lenses, but this last one was like a $25,000 lens. So I got rid of like 9 lenses and 4 cameras just to get that.
Just to get that.
Yeah, because
so that's a thing photographers do then, huh?
Yeah.
You guys will get rid of the old stuff, put it together, and like, let me go get this.
I've been hoarding all my stuff, but this was an occasion for me to actually let go of some stuff. Like, maybe I don't need, you know, these 4 cameras and these not, you know. So now it's kind of opening my mind to, because I have like 225 lenses or something.
Wow.
And I don't even know how many cameras, but I've been making a database of my lenses. I got to do the cameras next. But so that, to me, you know, Leica's just, for me, it's like the greatest, you know, the greatest tools ever made. And so the lenses, the paintbrush, and the cameras, like the canvas, you know. And so I get to work with my favorite company, and I got to have traveling exhibitions with Leica, and they've been, you know, very supportive of my work, and I think it's a two-way street, you know.
Right.
I get a lot of people buying Leicas, you know. I did the Paris Blues exhibition in LA. It was like 1,200 people showed up or something crazy.
Wow.
Like, where the guy at the door told me, it was like, when we got to like 1,000 people, we stopped counting, because technically you're not supposed to have that many people in the building, and the line was around the block. And what was really cool for me, and this happened in New York too, when we did last year, was the fact that all these artists that I've worked with actually like flew in for my show. That kind of blew my mind. Like, that helped my imposter syndrome. Like, you know, to see like Dave or Lenny or, you know, Chris Rock, all these people just actually, you know, Michael Che, like some of my favorite people coming into my, you know, Jason Momoa and all my friends and family. Like, it's not that, but it's the fact that I'm like, oh, these people kind of went out of their way. Like, you know, Dave flew from here to LA and then from here to New York, which is closer, but still, like, come on, like, that's pretty amazing.
It is.
And threw me an after party in LA. You know, it was just really, really cool. Like, and the one that blew my mind the most was Madlib. Madlib came to my show, and his wife told me he's never been out. Like, he's never gone to anyone's like opening.
Wow.
like that meant a lot to me. I was like, wow, you know, he's like a brother to me. But just to see people showing up, because I'm used to following people around and shooting and traveling with them, and so that really meant the world to me, to see artists, you know, show up for me.
Yeah, you're showing up for them.
I remember that night, Dave had just had that special, The Dreamer.
Yes.
And then I remember, like, halfway through the show, and the gallery had like, you know, 1,000 people or whatever, and you couldn't move around. And, you know, and there's been a lot of artists that have had like great successful shows. This was nuts. And then at one point, Dave comes up to me like, "It's definitely we're all in your dream tonight." And I was like, "Oh, that's sweet." But I saw what he meant. It felt like, you know, it was like, I was joking that it was like my second bar mitzvah. You know, it was like, this is nuts. Like, I couldn't believe it when I saw somebody was in line and texted me like, "Hey, Momoa's in line. Should we try to get him in?" I was like, even the fact that somebody like that's standing in line, I'm like, these guys don't stand in line. But it meant the world to me. And somebody sent me a photo or video of the line going around the block. I was like, this is not for me. That's where the imposter syndrome. I'm like, there must be something else going on. And they caught word that this person is here or that person's here, you know. That was really, like, my friend Jimmy Jam was there. I mean, it was just, you know, it was just,
I love Jimmy Jam.
Jimmy's the best.
They're the best. They're the best.
And a lot of people that, like, you know, even on like Dave's team, or like you probably know Ricky Hughes, who directed the last special. Ricky, you know, like she came. It was just like people that I know are so busy. Up. Ricky's doing like 5 million shows, you know, and like they showed up. They're like, we want to be here, and you know, to have my kids and my girlfriend Grace, and you know, just everybody in one place. You know, it's really, really cool. And the work. They love the work, which is more important.
Yes, it's everything. It's all wrapped into one, and it all feels like very family. And just for the heart, and they're doing it for the right reasons. Because they care about you. Do you get emotional, like in the crying sense? I mean, I feel like you're an empath.
I've had a year of crying because I lost my little brother. But
that's okay.
But yeah, I mean that, you know, I'm one of those guys, like I'll cry, like I can cry watching, like, I don't know, Princess Bride or something.
I do like a good cry.
No, but I can definitely, you know, I never really know like what will make me emotional.
But it's there.
Like I was doing an interview with my friend Gadgen, who was filming a little thing about Paris Blues and all that, and followed me through the whole Chicago exhibition process.
Yes.
And then like my sons were there, you know, and I start talking about them, and then I start crying. Like it's more like when I talk about like my son Miles has a show right now, the Leica LA Gallery. He's in this emerging artist show, and he has a show on the Blue Note New York, which is amazing. So that stuff makes me emotional beyond the like normal grief of, you know, family things. And
I'm so sorry about
thank you. No, this year's been a weird year, but again, you have to turn it into something, you know, survival and inspiration.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because there was a post. I think you did the post today, where they were talking about you. What was it for? The signing where they said
Photo Phase Neuro Arts.
Yeah, after what happened with your brother, you were right back out there.
Yeah, I mean it's really the only thing that I could do, because you know we had the ceremony, a cremation ceremony. You know, he took his own life, which is pretty brutal, and then also me being me, I'm like, I saw him like 2 months before, and 2 months to the day. And then I'm like, he seemed good, you know, like he's just goofing around, like the sad clown kind of thing. Like he was a really funny guy. Thomas was his name, Thomas. And then, you know, you kind of feel like, I thought I was like cool enough that my brother would like tell me like, yeah, I'm suffering, I'm going through this, like help me out. But, you know, there's certain
people don't talk
despair, you know, where you just, nothing's going to help. But so for me, when I got to Paris, and I was in Hawaii when it happened, I was kind of, you know, you're like in paradise, and suddenly it feels like hell because you can't get off. I was in Lanai, and we had taken, I was with my girlfriend. She works with Brandy Carlisle, and we were out there with them. And it was like my first vacation in a really long time. And the first 5 days was storms stopping us from getting to Lanai. So we would sit at an airport hangar the whole day, and then finally find out we can't fly. We got to go back to the hotel. So it was already kind of a shitty week where I was like, this is my vacation. Like this is, you know, and then finally we get to Lanai. We have 1 day there and it's paradise. And we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. We get to be here another like 3 days or whatever. And then the next morning I, you know, wake up with like 17 missed calls from my sister. And I'm like, oh, I thought my dad passed. My dad's got Alzheimer's. And I was like, okay, I got to kind of prepare myself, you know, but he's kind of in a place where, you know, it's just even unfair to just be alive that way and you don't remember anyone. And it was, I kind of went through that whole psychology of like acceptance, thinking she didn't leave any messages, you know, so I was like, okay, I'll call her back. Let me have my coffee. And
right.
I guess I'll have to leave a little earlier than planned and go to Paris, my dad's funeral, you know. And then I finally call her back with my coffee, like, oh my God, I can't, tell me this isn't really that. And she's like, he hung himself. And I'm like, Dad hung himself? He can't even do that, you know?
So you had like...
Yeah, and I'm like stuck in the thing that like my dad's gone. And she's like, no, Thomas. And I was like, oh fuck, okay. And then, you know, then I went into like real shock.
A different level, yeah.
Yeah, and then, okay, how do I get to Paris? And now there's no plane today, you know. It's Lanai, a beautiful place, but that's not where you want to be.
Not when something...
And the crazy thing is, like, right after I found out, I had told the people we were with that I would do, like, family photos. And literally I went from finding out to like having another coffee to going in and do these family photos without mentioning to anyone. And I just became the photographer. Like no more tears, no more sunglasses on, because my eyes were probably quite red. Took all these photos, made some jokes, as I was shooting, and then, back to the room. But that also shows you there's a certain thing with photography where I'm able to
turn it on and off.
To turn it on and off and compartmentalize.
Does that ever, like, I mean, having that experience, loss and creativity and all these things, does it shock you that you're able to do that? To turn it off?
I mean, it shocks me, and at the same time, it shows me that I've worked my craft so well that I'm able to even separate real life, so that's why, to answer your question about Paris after, so my thing is no matter what, I'm always walking around, especially Paris. I'll be shooting all day. I'm always getting like 25 to 30,000 steps a day when I'm in Paris because I'm just walking for miles and miles. And if I have a meeting, I'm walking there. If I'm meeting a friend for lunch, I'm walking there. If I have a shoot, I'm walking there. So after we had that, I guess you call it funeral, it was basically a funeral, but he was cremated. And seeing how people I hadn't seen in so many years and actually talking to his friends that I'd never met. He was very private. I'd never been to his apartment. Then I went to his apartment. And that's the thing is I kept feeling like I wasn't a good enough brother. I wasn't, I should have checked in more. I mean, I live in LA, he lives in Paris, I kept thinking like, I kept feeling like I was partially responsible,
Yeah, you felt some guilt.
And that he would make comments about my world was just so different than their world. Like, so he was my half brother and my other brother, Luca. They were, full brothers from my dad's second marriage, but they were my brothers. I never was like, oh, this is my half brother. They were my brothers. Yeah. And that's the only thing I was able to say at the ceremony was that like people always said, you're half brother. I'm like, that's my brother. Like, and there's definitely no halves involved, and when I kind of, we had a little, and the comedy is so much part of my life that like we rented a place, this cafe to have like, after the ceremony, everyone come together and have food and drinks and celebrate him. And I kid you not, and I actually have photos of this. It's so dark, but like we walk into the restaurant. It was near where he lived, which is a suburb of Paris. I walk into the restaurant and they're like, I said, hey, we rented a space. And they're like, oh, it's upstairs. You have the whole top floor. And I walk to the top floor first by myself, and all the light fixtures are ropes, like hangman ropes.
No.
With the light bulb at the bottom. Like literally looks like what you used to, to hang yourself. And I'm like, I started bursting out laughing. Like, I'm like, this can't be real. And then Lenny's music is playing coincidentally. So I FaceTimed him and he's like, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, look at these light fixtures. And he's like, what the fuck? What is going on? And I'm like, and they're playing your music. It was just like so surreal. He was incredible throughout that process, like literally, because he knows my brother, he's close to my dad. Yeah. He's like my big brother, so, but even that, like seeing people that, they're friends, but we work together, whatever. Seeing somebody like that so there and so concerned, he's in the middle of a million things too, that showed me a lot too.
So it's to who he is too, and you are in your relationship.
I was there with my dad. He always wants to talk to my dad, even though my dad doesn't remember pretty much anyone, but it's meaningful, and that to me, that's the people I want in my life, but so walking away from that whole day, was so devastating. And then the next day I'm like, all I need to do is just walk around with my camera.
Take pictures.
And so that photo that you saw today, with the neurophase, that's so my friend Kieran Karnani, she used to be the head of marketing for Leica, and then she left and started working with another company. And she started this company that I'm on the advisory board, and it's basically all about mental health and through photography and dealing with all kinds of, mental health issues. So we'll be doing a lot of things that, help a lot of people. And so she asked me to be part of this first exhibition they're doing, which is at a good friend of mine, Dan Tomarkin's gallery, also in Chicago at the end of this month. Unfortunately, I'll be here, so I can't be at the opening. It's next weekend, but I'll be there in spirit and my work will be there. But what happened is that I was walking around and it felt comfortable to walk around where I grew up and where, where they lived with my dad. I was already in the States when they were born.
Right.
But I came to this place that you see in that photo, Palais Royal, which is by the Louvre.
Yes.
And, I saw these kids with the bubble, the guy blowing the huge bubbles and they're jumping up. And you talk about tears. Normally I have my camera like this, and then I'll bring it up to take a photo. I was walking around like this because I didn't want people to see that I was crying. And especially kids, they'd be like, who's this weirdo showing, But then I saw these kids jumping up, laughing, and I had a flashback of Thomas when he was little, jumping up and popping those same bubbles in the same place. And it made me feel like there's a rebirth to it. That's why the photo's called Death Reborn.
Yes.
It felt like, okay, life's a cycle. Like this little kid right now, he gets to have a future and hopefully he gets to be happier. And, I had to accept, my brother had a condition called misophonia where, he heard sounds much louder than they were and it drove him crazy. And he used to always complain about it. And all of us were like thinking he's being kind of dramatic or whatever. But, in the end, it killed him. Like he couldn't take it anymore. And he wrote in his suicide note about how on Christmas Day he started hearing the sound of his heartbeat 24/7. So he was hearing it like a drum in his head, drove him nuts. So it's like, I can't judge that. I have to accept that that's what he decided to do. It's very painful to try to, move on. You just move forward. You can't really move on. And my friend Ben Harper, another great artist, I saw him that night that I took that photo. We went to dinner, and that's his words helped me so much because he said, you don't have to move on, just have to move forward. And he's another great artist, great poet, great singer. And his music's always sounded like poetry to me. But, having like people like that again, that comes from somebody I met doing what I do, but now it's like a family, and when real things happen, that they're there for me, and then they have the words that will help me, get through it. And it's a voice that I've been listening to in music for years anyway. So it's already kind of part of my being, so,
yeah.
But that I'm really happy to be able to take part in that exhibition because I feel like we have to normalize this stuff. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sensitive. It's okay to have grief. And it's also okay to deal with grief however you deal with grief. Some people, I'll hear, I literally, like, I posted something about my brother and some rando said, like, just get over it already. Like, stop talking about this. We just want pictures of John Mayer. That's what the person said. And I was like,
oh, wow.
There's weirdos. They'll do that with, like, can you just post photos of celebrities or, and shut up? Like, I've had that.
Right, like what they tell athletes, like, just shut up and dribble.
Yeah, shut up and dribble, yeah. I really despise that, but it's just the way the internet works. People like to troll and
behind the keyboard, and that's what they do.
Keyboard warriors.
I think feel good in knowing that every time something pops up like that, the bubbles, or even though like the dark humor and the rope, and like your brother is around.
Yeah. He loved owls too, and I've been like strangely seeing owls everywhere.
Really?
So I guess you start noticing,
Oh, yeah, because you said you didn't see his apartment or know a lot.
Oh, so I'm glad you brought that up. There's a reason.
He's showing you.
No, there's a reason I brought that up. I'm glad you brought me back to that because
to the apartment.
Yeah, because he'd never invited me over to his apartment. I think because it was like kind of like small, and he felt like because everything I've done, he always kind of had this thing about I'm the American, like I realized my dreams and he would like always kind of make fun, but we had that relationship. We made fun of each other.
What it was.
It was just the way it is with my brothers, and so I was like, he never seemed like he was that proud of what I did. He more like to make fun, and that I felt the same way about my dad for a long time. That he never really told me he was proud or whatever, and I walked into his apartment. It was like a shrine to my work. He had like the Paris Blues book on the thing. He had my posters from exhibitions on the walls. He had my old business card framed on his wall. Like, it was really strange. And I was like, man, like, couldn't you just, you know what I mean? Couldn't I know this while you were around? And a shrine to all the things he loved and art. And, he had an amazing book collection. And it was just, hard to, to see something that I didn't know, but it's like, you can't like hug the person anymore, and so that was kind of tough, to see after the fact, but
well,
it gave me some closure.
Yeah, it's give you something. That's a beautiful way to he was impressed by you, and I'm sure he showed you off too anytime anyone came in there.
I mean, that's the thing with my dad. Like we project a certain memory of things, and we project a certain attitude. And like I just was in my storage like last week in LA and found some old letters from my dad from the 80s. And I've always said this thing about like, he never told me he was proud. But then his wife would tell me like, all he talks about is your work and what you do. And he's showing your pictures and your book and this and my previous book, or like album covers, we have dinners, he'll take out the record. Da, da, da. And then I found this letter from like 1989. So I was 16 and he's like, I'm so proud of what you're doing. And I was like, wait, I don't remember that. My dad did say he was, we kind of remember what we want to remember, and we want to hold somebody to the image we have of them. And if my dad was like kind of cold, he was also like the funniest person I've ever known. And I'm glad that these artists like, Lenny got very close to my dad, but like Dave got to spend time with my dad before the Alzheimer's really kind of, and a guy like him being like, your dad's hilarious. Like he should have been a comedian. Like he's that funny,
It's cool to hear.
And so I'm glad that people, get to experience that. And now I have to kind of review my take on everything, because I'm like, maybe I'm projecting an image that wasn't really what it was, but that's what I thought it was. So therefore I convinced myself, that he wasn't proud, that he didn't, love me as much as another, he had a little one too, who's my little brother, who's 14,
right?
Who was adopted, Sasha, who's in Paris. He's 2 photos in the book. There's that one, a little kid jumping on the trampoline, that same when he was little. And then there's a cute one of him in the stroller in the flea market chapter.
Is that the one where his face?
Yeah, and it's like
this is the one that stood out.
Yeah,
yes,
it's the cutest thing. That's my little brother Sasha.
Face.
And then the other thing about Thomas, my brother who passes, there's a photo in the show in Chicago of him blowing bubbles that's not in the book. And when I edited the book at the end, we took out a bunch of photos because there were too many, and the editor was like, you got to take out like 20 photos. And taking it for granted, I was like, oh, that one I can take out. It's just my brother, I'll put it in another book or something. And then he gave me so much shit when he got the book. There's like, there's 2 pictures of Sasha, no pictures of me or Luca, like no pictures of our sister. Like, you're such an asshole, blah, blah, blah. And then of course, when that happened, I was like beating myself up for taking that photo out, and making him feel that way. But it was also in jokey,
Yeah.
I don't think he was
now
actually.
You just have to dedicate an exhibit to him.
That's what Chicago is.
Yeah, that's it. And there he's watching. He's seeing. Yeah. He's seeing everything. Thank you for sharing that. I know that's difficult.
Real life shit.
It's real life, and we are all going to go through certain things like that. So thank you thank you for what your continued work in helping with mental health awareness, because
I look forward to, and I also want to work with, organizations that deal with suicide and all that, because now it's like, okay, I got firsthand experience, and I would love to know that there's certain things we can do to help.
Outlets out there to help other people. Yeah. I want to make sure you're okay on time. It's 4:20.
Yeah, I'm cool for
you got like 20 more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to. This man's working right now. Okay?
My cameras are charging. Miles is here working with me, so he'll get everything set up.
You know how to multitask. You already know this. You know this. I pulled 3 photos that I love. Number 1, I'm Jay-Z fan forever. He's the reason, like, before all of this hosting and interviewing, I was an MC. And
oh, cool.
This was the one. And I'm from the Bay, so shout out to Too Short and E42. They were my first, artists I looked at.
I photographed both of them, but not in Paris, so they're not in this book. They'll be in the music book.
But Jay-Z there is something about this man, no matter what era we've seen him in, that he just has this face that you just like, you want to ask him so many questions, but something about this photo that you took.
The trap star photo.
And I think I know the black and white is your thing and everything. I wouldn't want to see this in color.
Yeah.
Like, this has to be a black and white photo.
Yeah. So there's a funny story tied to that photo.
Yeah.
Which is that, so my girlfriend Grace, I met her in New York, And she used to work at Rolling Stone magazine and at Fallon and SNL and all that. And she knew my work. I had directed a documentary on Lenny called Looking Back on Love. And she had seen it at work, like screened it or whatever they did. And so she had reached out to me and be like, we didn't know each other, but said, if you're ever in New York, blah, 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 I'd love to, have coffee, talk photography. And, I love your work. I love photography. I'm like, okay, whatever. So long story short, we end up meeting in New York and, hit it off. And then I'm like, I'm going to do something crazy. I sent her a note saying, hey, you want to have dinner again on Friday or whatever? I think it was Friday. And she's like, oh, you're coming back to New York? I was like, no, you're coming to Paris, which was really my shot. I'd never done that. I was like, I got you a ticket. And she's like, yeah, okay. And so she shows up. She comes to Paris. I'm like, don't really know where it's going, but I know I really like this person and we had a great time. And her music and knowledge and stuff, she's younger than I am, but I was like, damn, you really know your stuff. Like, it was impressive. I understood why she worked at Rolling Stone and why she worked in music at SNL and all that. And so I'm like, this is going to be, all I did was work. This was my Lenny touring days and we never really took time off. It was just always work. If I'm not shooting a show, I'm designing something or merch or, whatever it was. And so I'm like, okay, this is like special date night, and so she gets to Paris. I'm like, got you a hotel room, get comfortable, blah, 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 change it, and I'm taking you to dinner. And she's like, amazing, I'll get ready. Blah, blah, blah. And then like, as I'm on my way to pick her up, Lenny calls and he's like, hey, come meet me at Club 79 by the Champs-Elysees. I'm like, no, I'm this woman I met. Yes. She just landed. She's at the hotel. She just changed. I'm picking her up for dinner and I can't. And he's like, I'm meeting Jay-Z and Timbaland. Like, you got to come get a photo. And I'm like, come on, man, not tonight. Like, I love Timbaland, I love Jay-Z, but this is not the night, And he's like, just come for like 5 minutes. I'm like, I'm on my way to pick this girl up, Grace. He's like, bring her. It'll be fun. Like, what else is she going to do when she gets to Paris and like hang out with us? I'm like, okay, and I'll try it out, But I was always nervous about mixing like personal stuff with work because, I had after my wife and I split up, I had like a couple of girlfriends that were like a little too much into the people I was around. Right. And that kind of scared me a little bit.
You gotta have that trust.
So, and like they would be a little too chummy, So I was like, all right, but we're going to stay, 10 minutes. And so pick her up. I'm like, sorry, dinner is a little delayed. I'm taking you to this great Japanese place, but then, we'll go after. We're going to meet my friend and, and I'll never remember. We show up and it's like Jay's in the middle of the booth where you see that photo.
Yeah.
And then like Lenny's over here, Timbaland's over here. They're standing talking. And I got photos of like the three of them, together. This was my favorite just because it was just him in the middle, like the darkness and everything. But there was a seat next to Jay on that side, and there was a seat, between Lenny and Jay on that side, and there was a stool right here. And this is like comfortable couch area. And she's like, I'm going to sit on the stool. I'm good. And I was like, that's different. Yeah.
that's a keeper.
And then so we started like, I'd take some photos. The three of them get in the booth after I'd get that photo. I get photos of them. And she whispers to me, how long do we have to stay here? And I'm like, whoa, this is really different, And she's like, I just flew in. I'm excited.
I was here to hang with you.
And then, so Lenny was like, oh, let's all go to dinner. And she's like, I thought we were just going. I'm like, yeah, we're just going. And so they actually dropped us off. It was funny. But, and then he texted me right after, like, whoever this person is, she's the right one, because he saw that it was like not one of those. She
was like, I'm not worried about this.
And she was like, no, I really came because, you invited me and we're going to. And so that was super sweet. So that's that night. So that night will always be immortalized. I don't think I have, I might have like a selfie of us out somewhere.
But
that's the photo that represents, that night in October 2013, 13 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
That's kind of a cool,
that's a love story.
Cool little thank you, Jay-Z, for immortalizing that moment.
I love that. Okay, I have two more that I want to show you.
Yep.
Everything that I see that you shoot of Chappelle makes me just love him even more. There's like a power to him behind all your photos, but it's such an ease.
Right.
I can't explain it. Him with a cigarette in the snow.
That's like one of my favorite photos I've ever shot.
Really?
Yeah.
This is, I love it. Like,
I love how the flakes look like orbs, the snowflakes.
It just looks so cool. And he's just got that signature pose, the way he holds the cigarette and just his stance.
Yeah.
Like, that's Dave Chappelle.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of earlier on in our working relationship, right? Like 2018, I think. I started, the first shoot I did was 2015. 2016, I did the first Netflix special.
Gotcha.
The Age of Spin.
Yep.
And then a couple of things. And then 2017 is when I did that month-long Radio City run. And ever since then, we've been pretty much
locked in.
Yeah. But I took him to dinner at my friend Pierre Song, who has an amazing kind of concept. He's Korean, but he was adopted by these like kind of country white people from Korea. So he's a really strange phenomenon of like, he sounds like a white country dude, but he's Korean.
Twang, but he's great.
And he's the best chef.
Really?
So I'd taken Dave and Yassine Bey and a couple other friends, Fred Yone, who you'll probably see later, the harmonica player. And I took them all to this friend's restaurant, and it was snowing like crazy. And I was like, Dave went for a smoke. I was like, let's get some pictures out there. And so that was
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
And that's the only one in the show of Dave, because that's just, there's other ones. I think there's another one in the book, maybe two. But that's the one that's in the exhibition, because that one's always like very special to me.
And side note, on all those specials where the photos come up and everything, like I love
Thank
that.
you.
It's a cool photo book.
Yeah, it's visually. Like each one is a little book. Yeah.
And it's always perfect music that he puts behind those with everything. I'm just like, it makes you emotional.
Yeah.
I couldn't pick a favorite Lenny because damn, they're all good.
Well, Lenny has a whole chapter.
Lenny.
He's the only one who gets a chapter because it's 15 years of Lenny,
It's how many years have you guys?
This chapter is like 15. Well, I've known Lenny for 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But 40 years, I think.
And did it start as like that type of relationship?
Not at all. So my mom is a fashion designer. Back in those days, she was Jag and Sassoon. I don't know if you know Ooh La La Sassoon.
Don't age us here, but yes, I remember it.
You weren't around, but
I know. I heard of that.
She was like the designer for Jag, and her assistant, who was this amazing guy, Christopher Anuke, out of Parsons School, fashion school, was her assistant. Okay. And so Christopher became like my big brother when I used to come visit my mom in LA from Paris before I moved there, and he used to take me to Disneyland and do all that stuff. And he lived with this guy up in the Hollywood Hills, and he had this roommate, and it was Lenny. And so I met like Lenny's mom, Roxy Roker. We used to go to the barbecues and all that. I met his parents, and so he became like a family friend. And over the years, when I started designing albums and doing all that, he would always tell me like, "Oh, you should work on my record," but never happened for a long time. Not never, because it did end up happening, but it didn't happen for a long time. And I kept thinking like, "Man, come on, you told me I would." And then just kind of when it was meant to be, I think it was 2008. We reconnected in Paris. Paris is just where all the magic has been for me. It is for you, yeah. And we just, from the moment we just reconnected, it was nonstop for,
Yeah, I was going to say there's
over a decade of just really being together 24/7.
And I think the best thing, and I think it's with Chappelle too, or anyone but it really stands out with Lenny, is like he's just himself.
Right.
Like in all these photos.
And he's very comfortable around me,
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's ease.
Like that photo of De Niro is in a jet.
This is in a jet?
That's in a jet, yeah.
Oh, look at them. This is so powerful.
Oh yeah, that was at Bercy, and that other one with McEnroe and Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
That's Lenny's little boiler room, little club downstairs in the house.
These images in here. Bravo, because this book is honestly so beautiful. And again,
thank you.
Don't want to spoil it for everyone. Get it for yourself. But I'm excited for this. I'm going to ask for an autograph at the end.
Oh, yeah. I got to sign it for you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, thank God. But no, these are so beautiful. And I just really grateful to know you and to be able to sit with you. And
we met because of Lenny.
And Lenny, yes.
Yeah, got the Walk of
that's
Fame
right.
thing.
That was the Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, I don't really get nervous talking to people. I was just, those Walk of Fame things.
Have you done a bunch of them?
So I've done George Clinton. I've done Lenny.
George's the home.
George was so so cool. And I paid homage to him.
He was here not too long ago.
He was?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I paid homage to him. I kind of dressed like him. He loved it. He appreciated it. But yeah, I'm getting ready to do another one with a really big Filipino artist because I'm part Filipino, and they thought it would be perfect.
Dave's wife's Filipino.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, you got to meet her later.
Yes, and so it was a little nerve-wracking, especially the people who were there in support, and just how chill he was. Zoe was cool. I'd interviewed her before. I had never met Lenny, and having Denzel, I'd interviewed him a few times.
That was super cool.
Like, yeah. It was an amazing moment. So, like, I'm just grateful for our
I was grateful that he asked me, to do that, because at that point I was already like in Chappelle land. But it worked out that I could. I was home and I could do that, and it was super cool. I was really proud of him. And then it's funny because like that was my first one ever, and then I just did this band Intocable.
That's right. You said you came back and did
amazing Mexican band. Those guys just reached out to me like, you want to come to Mexico and shoot a show, and I did it, and they were a lot of fun. And then they were like, hey, we're getting a star on the Walk of Fame. Can you do that? I was like, hell yeah, I'll do that.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's how kind of those things still happen to this day. Like, and because you work with so many people, I've not asked this question in a long time, but I know my people that I would want to sit with. If you were at dinner, whether they're here or not, people you admire or someone you're just intrigued by, who would be your dinner, like
that I haven't met?
That maybe maybe you haven't met.
I will tell you the two people I met, and I'll answer your question, but the two people I miss the most on this planet, artist-wise, is Quincy Jones and Prince. Like, of people I have met that I felt so full around, like, that just gave me so much for just existing.
Just being in the...
Quincy had the best stories, One of my favorite memories till the day I die will be when we went to see the Miles Davis documentary screening. And it was really funny because so Miles' son Aaron and Vince Wilburn, his nephew, run the estate. They're good friends of mine. They're family. Vince and I are very close. Invited me, and I don't think I knew Quincy was going to be there, but when Quincy saw me, there were name tags on all the chairs. He switched somebody else's for mine, so I would sit next to him. And I could tell when the executive, whoever it was, came, he was like, I thought I was sitting next to Quincy, and never understood why he wasn't. And Quincy was like, you got to sit with me. And it was the best experience of my life, because as the documentary was going, he kept whispering to me things that weren't in the documentary about, like they were talking about a woman, and then he turns to me, he's like, she was crazy, especially when her legs were wrapped around me. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like dying laughing. People kept turning around like, why is this guy laughing? This is a serious moment in the documentary. And so he was so much fun. And he used to invite me to, I'd like photograph his birthdays, or just sometimes just go. I just always happen to have a camera, but as far as somebody that, dead or alive, it would be Marcel Duchamp, the French surrealist. Yeah. That's definitely somebody I would be so curious to just know what he would say, what he was like, a big part of the Dada surrealist movement, which is my favorite art movement. I think he would be really, really interesting. And then, after that, I would go to like classical composers and just people that, talent that is beyond what we've seen, like a guy like Rachmaninoff or something. I just can't imagine, like, how does this brain create all this, but also function in normal life, I don't know, but those types of people
would be interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see those type of people again? Come, like...
I think they would have to be like some kind of another massive shift in the Earth's core. I think something has to change. I think 100%. We have to step away from this kind of reality TV obsessed culture, not to bring up the Kardashians again, but it's always what I think about when I think of people focusing on the wrong things, like, again, good for them. They figured out their hustle. They figured out their way to, to do what they do. But I wish people were obsessed about art the way they're obsessed about people's bullshit. Like, I wish somebody was, preoccupied with, I wonder if Johannes Sebastian Bach, like, did he like, warm milk, or did he,
Just curious,
what made him
curious,
tick? Like, what kind of books did Bach or Mozart, what did they read? What did they, what does Joni Mitchell like to drink in the morning, when she wakes up? Not like who's screwing who and who's, who
people like drama, people like chaos,
but they're just things. because culturally, I think, the last like 30 years or so, we kind of lost our way with obsessing on celebrity. Reality TV had a lot to do with that. What they call, yellow journalism, kind of
no one's doing their job.
Paparazzi, that's another thing where like sometimes I'll be out somewhere with Dave or someone and I have my camera and I'm outside of like a nice guy or something, or, a place like some Soho House or whatever. And somebody will look at me thinking I'm a paparazzi. I'm like, I can't think of a worse thing that somebody would think I am. Like
please
to me,
don't
that's like, no. This is a Leica. Have you ever seen a paparazzi?
Do you know what I'm holding in my hand?
There's no paparazzi. You can't zoom in with this camera. This is a portrait lens, like from the 50s. You're not going to get that Megan Fox photo with this camera. Or I will. It'll be really nice, but they'll want to buy it from me. It'll be a little different.
But knowing how you feel about this, does that make it easier or harder for you to decide? Because I'm sure, like you said, Lenny's like, oh, okay, when you first met each other over the years, we'll work together. If a celebrity or someone that you don't align with, is it easy now for you to just be like, do it and say no? Was it hard in the beginning though to like?
It was, I have like, because, youth is wasted on the young. I had things that I've always had my principles. So I remember like back in the day being offered to work on like, I think it was In Sync, to work on, and I was like, I'm not doing that. This is not music. I'm listening to Chopin right now, and I'm listening, like Music of My Mind by Stevie Wonder and Ladies of a Canyon by Joni Mitchell. I'm not listening, What I should have done, because there was a big check and I needed the money, was done it under a pseudonym. Had I been smarter when I was younger, I could have done a couple, like my funniest thing, like I did a workshop. I'm doing another one actually in November in Paris. With my friend Mark DePaula, who's a great photographer, and Mona Kuhn, who's another great photographer who's museums all over the world, old friend of mine. We're doing this workshop that I did with Mark and Todd Heido last year. It was funny. I was doing a presentation. I was like, what's the way, because I'm self-deprecating, and I'm like, what's the thing I could include in my presentation that will be the most embarrassing thing that I've done? And it's that I designed a Taylor Swift Christmas record. And I put that on the screen, and everybody was so confused. They're like, what is this? I was like, I designed this, And, it's the one thing that like I would never want people to know I designed. So I put it in there as a, self-sacrifice. But just because it's just not me, what I mean?
It doesn't.
And people are like, what's wrong with that? She's amazing. I'm like, good for her. Like, it's not my thing. But I did do that one though. I didn't turn that one down because
the money was probably
the money was great, but it was also like I think when like my ex and I were going through some stuff and it was like therapy, whatever, and I needed money for therapy.
I gotta pay my.
Thank you, Taylor Swift.
We were just talking about paying therapists. Therapists are expensive, but they're necessary.
Good
ones. When you find
after this thing with my brother, I'm actually thinking I might have to do some of that.
If you need any recommendations to LA, I do hypnotherapy, and she is. Yes.
This stuff with my brother is like next level.
That's what. I had to unlock.
Because you never know when it's going to hit you. Like you can be totally fine,
and then you feel
like,
it.
You just suddenly feel like shit. That's a real thing that
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For you, do you have someone that you still want to work with that it hasn't happened yet, or is it?
Absolutely. Like so, I've designed some concert posters for Jack White. But I would say that's like the number one. Like he's so amazing, like real rock star.
Their shows
rock star in the I go see him all the time, and he's super cool. I got a cool picture of him and Dave when he came to one of Dave's shows. Like he's come around, and we did that 846 record that I did that with Third Man. Okay. I produced and designed that one with Third Man with Jack's label, and we did some amazing stuff. And I hope we do more with him. I absolutely that's like my thing where I'm like, I can't believe I haven't done a shoot with Jack White. That's crazy.
Wow.
I haven't done a proper concert, you know. So he's definitely top of the list.
Yeah.
I can't think of a lot of. You know, I really like Rosalia. So like that in this new, there is a kind of new thing happening where I'm like kind of excited again about
artists that are coming. Yeah.
Like when I went to London to photograph Ray, I met her in I met her in Paris. I met her in that same basement boiler room at Lenny's house. Lenny wasn't even there, but Zoe was having a party, and I went with Dave, and like ended up. I had been listening to her, and I've been telling Dave about her. I think he had met her at a thing in DC, but I was like, she's like, you know, next level for me. Like she, you know, everybody compares her to Amy Winehouse. All that.
Yeah,
she has some similarities, but she really has her own thing. And so the fact that like even now we become like good friends, and I went to London to photograph her for that. Where's my husband release, and photographed her at the Greek when she came to LA. Like I was so excited about that because I'm already a fan. Like I just discovered her and was just, you know, head over heels over her. So that was super cool. And so she's given me a lot of hope. I mean, her album is called, this album may contain hope. And
so it's,
but she really does. And she has a song on her record. Her record came around that time that I lost my brother. And she has a song called I Know You're Hurting, and it just kind of devastated me. But it's like one of those things we talked about earlier where like you're like sad listening to something,
right?
But it was so therapeutic. And I felt like, oh, she wrote that song for me in this moment, you know, even though the song was recorded before.
So the magic of music, I think,
And I remember sending her a message like, this is really doing something, and thank you for that. And, you know, because it's like you wrote that for, you know, what I'm going through. And so I look forward to, I'm trying to go in between these 2 weekends to go see her in New York. She's on tour with Bruno Mars now.
Yeah.
And, but her, I like, Rosalia is somebody I'd really like to shoot of the new generation. And then what's the other singer that's on the swing on her, Olivia Rodrigo? Like there's like kind of she's something really cool about her too. Like I just like
she's part Filipino too.
Yeah.
She's half.
Oh, is she really?
Yeah, I like. Do you like Olivia Dean? I
like Olivia Dean. I haven't like been like
into it too. Yeah, you haven't
bewitched by her yet, but I haven't seen her perform. I like that. There's a song that I really like that I even know was her that's been going around, and I know she won Best New Artist.
Yeah,
I wanted Ray to win, but
I mean,
but you know, I'm like.
You're a fan of Ray.
I love my Ray. Yeah. But
I love my Ray. That should be.
She's just I'm inspired by that kind of talent. She's 28, you know.
Yeah.
And she's already accomplished all this. I'm sure the Grammys are going to be a good year for Ray.
Yeah. No, she's amazing.
Yeah. So she's my favorite
right now. Yeah.
Right now, and I think will be for a long time. But I'm trying to think of any other, you know, people that Jack White's definitely. I have like controversial ones. Like I dream of photographing Woody Allen. I know he's controversial, but he's my favorite. Growing up, my favorite film, my favorite, you know, comic. You know, so there's people, you know, people always say like, but yeah, he did this, he did that. I don't believe all the stuff they said. Being with your girlfriend's daughter is already kind of gross, so I get that. I'm not a big fan of that. But there's like, I'd love to have a portrait of that guy, you know? So there's like certain people where like, I'm not trying to become your best friend. I'm not trying, but I would love to have, because it represents so much of my life, and the entertainment that I got out of life was, I feel like I owe his movies so much, you know?
That's the selfish side of like, I want that for me. Yeah.
Like Larry David, I photographed when he did Netflix as a joke, but I still really want to do a portrait. That was like a stage thing. He's my favorite. Like,
never worked Anthony Bourdain. That never.
I wish.
I was going to say that's who I would have my dinner with. I was a big
fan, and I definitely, you know, it's like my biggest regret ever will always be that I didn't photograph Prince, you know, because I worked on like compilations. I worked on a bunch of stuff. I did the stuff obviously.
How did that not ever just never happen?
It was closer because I'd photographed some of his proteges, Andy Allo, Candace Springs, and then the people around him was like, he loves these photos, so get ready, you'll be, you know, and then he passed. He passed like months out, like not even, I photographed Candace Springs April 14th. He was gone a week later, you know? So, and with Andy Allo, I remember we photographed at Church Boutique in LA, my friend Rodney.
Yeah.
place, and she was like, Andy, when we shot this, she's like, oh, Prince might come by, and I was so nervous because I was like, even though like I knew the guy, but I was like, I'm not gonna be he's not gonna watch me work. I'm gonna fuck up every photo, you know. But so that'll always be like the one thing I can't accomplish, you know. But again, that's just fuel for whatever else I'm gonna do, you know. It's just people you can't bring back, you know.
I love it.
Yeah.
I feel like I could just sit here and talk to you forever. I know you got to work. It's 4:45, so I will cut it here. So you don't have to keep going. But I love. I'm so happy we got to sit down and talk about this because there's just so much. Like,
I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you. You know, getting the book.
Of course, I was like, please get here before we leave because I didn't realize it was going to.
I know. I was looking. Somebody yesterday was like, I don't want to carry it. So I'll order it on Amazon, and I looked on Amazon and said like 1 copy left. I'm like, oh no! It's like, I mean, I guess that's a good thing that they're running out. But
no, it's great. It's a great thing. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, for real.
Is it weird? I'm hovering over you. What are you going to say next?